Before this story begins, there is something you need to understand. What you are about to hear is not a legend. It is not a campfire tale, and it is not meant to entertain children. This story is based on events that were reported and then quietly forgotten. Some names were removed, some records disappeared, and some people involved refused to speak ever again. The house you will hear about tonight still exists. From the outside, it looks ordinary, beautiful even. But what happened inside that house is the reason no one has lived there for years. Tonight's story is slow, it is calm, and it feels real. Because fear does not always scream. Sometimes it waits. This is tonight's story. The house was located in a quiet town in Ohio. Not abandoned, not broken, just empty. At least, that is what the realtor told me. I moved there for work. I needed something cheap, something quiet, somewhere I could sleep without noise. The house felt perfect. 2 floors, white walls, old wooden stairs that creaked just enough to sound alive. The price was suspiciously low. When I asked why, the realtor smiled and said, "The last tenant left in a hurry." I did not ask anything else. I should have. The first night passed without incident. I unpacked my bags, ordered food, watched television until I fell asleep on the couch. The house felt normal. The second night was quiet too, but something felt off, no matter which room I was in. It felt like I was not alone, not watched, not threatened, just accompanied, as if someone else was breathing in the same space. I blamed stress. The third night was different. I woke up suddenly. No dream, no sound, just a deep sense of awareness. I checked my phone. 3:17 a.m. The house was silent, too silent. Then I heard footsteps upstairs, slow, careful, measured, the kind of steps taken by someone who knows the house very well. They stopped outside my bedroom door. Then came 3 soft knocks. Knock, knock, knock. A voice whispered my name, perfectly, exactly the way my mother used to say it. I live alone, and my mother died 2 years ago. I did not answer the door. I could not move. My body felt heavy, like it was pressed into the mattress. The voice spoke again, soft, patient. It said my name once more. Then it added something new. Open the door. I stayed silent. The door handle did not move, but I could feel someone standing there, not close to the door, right against it. So close that if I opened it, we would be face to face immediately. I reached for my phone with shaking hands. The screen lit up the room. 3:18 a.m., no missed calls, no notifications. Just then, my phone vibrated. A message appeared. Unknown number. The message said, "Do not open it." My heart started pounding. I typed back, "Who is this?" The reply came instantly. "It is you." I stared at the screen. Another message appeared. "Do not trust the voice." Before I could respond, the knocking started again. This time louder. Not 3 knocks. 5. Slow. Deliberate. The door shook slightly with each one. Then the voice changed. It no longer sounded like my mother. It sounded like me. My exact voice. Same tone. Same breathing pattern. It said, "I'm tired of waiting." Cold ran through my spine. I whispered to myself, "This is not real." The voice answered immediately, "It is real enough." The lights in my bedroom flickered. Once, twice, then they went out completely. My phone screen went black at the same time. The house was swallowed by darkness. I could hear breathing now, not mine. Slow, steady, coming from the other side of the door. Then something scratched the wood. Long, slow, like fingernails being dragged downward. The scratching stopped. Silence returned. Then a whisper right against the door. "If you don't open it." A pause. "I will come in another way." That was when I heard it. Footsteps, not outside my room, inside the walls, moving downward, from the ceiling, crawling straight toward me. The footsteps inside the walls grew louder. They were slow, unnatural, not walking, dragging. I pulled the blanket over my head, as if fabric could protect me from whatever was moving above. The sound stopped directly over my bed. The ceiling creaked. Dust fell onto my face. I could feel the weight pressing down, as if something was crouching just inches above me. Then came a soft tapping, not on the door, on the ceiling. Tap, tap, tap. Each tap was directly above my chest. My breathing became shallow. I tried to scream. No sound came out. My phone suddenly turned on by itself. The screen glowed beneath the blanket. Camera mode. Front camera. I could see my own face, pale, eyes wide open. Behind me, in the darkness of the room, something stood near the door. Tall, too thin. Its head was tilted at an impossible angle. It was smiling, not with a mouth, with a stretch in its face, as if it remembered what a smile used to be, but not how to do it correctly. The screen zoomed in on its face. Then the image froze. A text appeared on the phone. "You see it now." The ceiling cracked. A long, thin finger pushed through the plaster. Then another. They bent the wrong way. The hole widened. Something began to lower itself down. I felt warm breath on my neck. The same voice whispered, "It's too late to pretend you're alone." The bedroom door suddenly swung open. Nothing stood there, but the footsteps stopped inside the walls, because whatever they belonged to was no longer in the walls. It was in the room with me. I shut my eyes, not because I thought it would disappear, but because I was afraid of what I would see. If I looked again, the room felt different now, heavier, as if the air itself had thickened. I could hear breathing everywhere, not just from one place, from the corners, from behind the walls, from inside the floor, beneath my bed. Then the bed creaked. Slowly, something sat down near my feet. The mattress dipped. My body slid slightly toward it. The weight was real. A voice spoke close to my ear. "You shouldn't have stayed." I opened my eyes. The room looked the same, but it felt wrong. The door was open. The hallway beyond it was dark. Too dark. Dark in a way that swallowed light instead of hiding it. From the hallway, I heard something familiar. My phone ringtone. My exact ringtone. It was coming from downstairs. I had left my phone on the bed. I looked down. The phone was gone. The ringtone stopped suddenly. A moment later, my own voice echoed up from the hallway. "Help me." It sounded scared. It sounded real. The thing at the foot of my bed stood up. The mattress slowly lifted back into place. I could feel it towering over me. It leaned down until its face was inches from mine. I could not see its eyes, only the shape of where eyes should be. It whispered, "Someone has to stay." Then it stepped away. The hallway light flickered on for just a second. In that brief flash, I saw myself standing at the bottom of the stairs, looking up, holding my phone, smiling. The light went out again, and the footsteps began climbing the stairs. The footsteps on the stairs were slow, deliberate. Each step creaked under a familiar weight. My weight. I sat up in bed, my back pressed against the headboard. My eyes were fixed on the doorway. The darkness in the hallway moved, not forward, not backward. It twisted, like something tall was bending to fit the space. The steps stopped halfway up the stairs. Silence followed. Then a laugh echoed through the house. Low, quiet. It was my laugh. the one I make when I am nervous. The hallway light flickered again. This time it stayed on. I saw the figure clearly. It looked exactly like me. Same face, same clothes. Even the small scar above my eyebrow was there. But the eyes were wrong. They were empty, not black, not white, just hollow. The thing took one step into the hallway. The floor did not creak beneath it. It smiled at me. Not a broken smile this time. A perfect one. It spoke in a calm voice. "You can rest now." I shook my head. "No," I whispered. The thing tilted its head. "Someone has to keep the house full." The walls began to whisper. Not words, breathing. Hundreds of breaths layered together. The lights in every room turned on at once. I could see shadows moving behind each door. Human-shaped, waiting. The thing stepped closer. With every step, the room felt smaller. The walls slowly leaned inward. The ceiling creaked again. I felt the house closing around me. The thing reached out its hand. Its fingers were too long. The joints bent backward. "Choose," it said softly. "Stay here." A pause. Or let someone else take your place. Behind it, in the mirror across the hallway, I saw another figure forming, another version of me, and then another. The house was not empty. It was. I looked past the thing that wore my face. In the mirror, the reflections kept multiplying. Not just me, others, men, women, different ages, all standing silently behind my reflection, all staring straight at me. Their mouths were open, but no sound came out. The thing in front of me followed my gaze. It smiled wider. "They stayed," it said. The floor vibrated beneath my feet. The house felt alive now, not haunted. Fed, I backed away until my legs hit the bed. The thing stepped closer. The air around it smelled old, like dust in closed rooms. "You were careful," it said. "You listened." Its voice softened. "That's why you lasted longer than most." The whispers in the walls grew louder. Names began to form. Names I didn't recognize. Names I would never forget. Suddenly, the front door downstairs slammed shut. The sound echoed through the house like a gunshot. The thing flinched. For the first time, it looked confused. A new sound followed. Footsteps. Different from before. Heavy. Rushed. Real. A man's voice shouted from downstairs. "Hello?" My heart jumped. The thing's smile faded. It turned back to me. Low and urgent. It whispered. "You didn't come alone." The footsteps moved closer. Up the stairs. Fast. The thing stepped back into the hallway. Its body began to blur. The walls started breathing harder. The house was afraid. The man reached the bottom of the stairs. He called my name. The thing screamed, not in anger, in panic. The lights exploded into darkness, and the house went silent. The silence did not feel empty anymore. It felt wounded. Like the house had been interrupted in the middle of feeding. I stayed frozen on the bed, afraid that any movement would bring everything back. Then I heard footsteps again, real ones, wood creaking under real weight. A flashlight beam cut through the darkness in the hallway. "Hey," the man called again. His voice shook. "You okay up there?" I tried to answer. My throat burned. Only a broken sound came out. The flashlight beam found the doorway. Then my face. The man froze. "Oh my God," he whispered. He stepped into the room. He was in his late 40s. Work jacket, dusty boots, a maintenance badge hung from his chest. "I saw the lights go crazy from outside," he said. "I knocked earlier." No answer. I stared at him. "You're real," I said. He nodded slowly. "As far as I know." The house groaned beneath us. A deep, unhappy sound. The man stiffened. "You hear that?" Yes, I said. He looked around the room, at the cracked ceiling, at the open door, at the scratch marks on the walls. This place isn't right, he muttered. He reached for his radio. Static burst out. No signal. The walls began to whisper again. Not loud, angry. The man backed toward me. "What did you do in here?" he asked. "Nothing," I said. That's the problem. The temperature dropped suddenly. Our breath became visible. The flashlight flickered. The man grabbed my arm. "We're leaving," he said. The hallway stretched as we stepped into it. Too long. The stairs were farther away than they should have been. The walls bent inward, trying to close. Behind us, a familiar voice spoke. Calm, patient. "You can't take what belongs to the house." The man turned. I didn't. I already knew what was standing there. The hallway seemed endless. The stairs stretched farther than they should have. The man tightened his grip on my arm. I could feel the house breathing around us. Walls contracting, ceilings bending, shadows shifting. The voice followed us, soft, mocking. "You can't leave." I glanced back. The doorway was empty, but the darkness inside it moved. Twisted, shifting shapes, faces flashing in the black. I stumbled forward. The man helped me up. "Keep moving," he said. I nodded. The air smelled worse now, like wet earth and rot. And then we heard it. A scraping sound from above. The ceiling cracked. Plaster fell onto the stairs. And then came a low, guttural laugh. It was mine. It was the man's. It was hundreds of voices layered together. The steps on the stairs grew louder, closer, faster. I tried to run. The man pulled me back. "Wait," he whispered. A shape appeared at the bottom of the stairs. Tall, thin, too thin. Its head twisted at an impossible angle. The flashlight flickered and went out. Darkness swallowed us completely. Then the temperature dropped. Cold ran through my bones. I could hear my own heartbeat. The voice whispered, closer than ever. "You belong here now." The man grabbed my hand and ran. We barely made it up the stairs, but the walls stretched again, closing the exit. Behind us, hundreds of whispers rose together, demanding, angry, hungry. I knew then that the house was not empty, and we were not the only ones. The stairs groaned under our feet. The walls seemed to pulse, breathing, watching. The man kept whispering, "Almost there, almost out." But I could feel the house fighting back. The air grew thick. I could barely move. A shadow darted past the top of the stairs. Too fast. I stumbled. The man grabbed me, pulling me up. "Don't look back," he hissed. But I did. And I saw them. Figures lining the walls. Silent, hollow-eyed. Some of them were familiar. My own face. Others I had never seen. All watching, smiling. The ceiling cracked above us. Dust rained down. A scraping noise came from the wall beside us. Long, slow, deliberate. It was reaching for us. The man grabbed my hand tighter. "Run," he shouted. We moved faster. The hallway stretched impossibly. The exit at the front door flickered, then disappeared. The shadows were closing in. The voice spoke again, soft and calm. "You can't leave the way you came in." The floor beneath us shook. We nearly fell. I could hear hundreds of breaths, layered together, surrounding us. The man pulled me toward another door. "Here," he whispered. I opened it. Cold air rushed in, but the room inside was empty. Too empty. The house groaned behind us, demanding. I felt something brush past my leg, something cold, something alive. And then the voice whispered, right in my ear, "You're mine now." The room slammed shut behind us. The door locked itself. I tried the handle. It would not move. The man shone his flashlight around the room. The beam revealed bare walls, no windows, no furniture, just one thing in the center, a mirror. Tall, old, the glass was dark, like it did not reflect light properly. The man stepped closer. "Why is this here?" he asked. I did not answer, because the mirror was already changing. A reflection appeared. Not us, the house, the hallway, the stairs, the door we just came through. In the reflection, someone was standing behind that door, waiting. The mirror began to whisper, not out loud, inside my head. "You were almost free." The man backed away. "I don't like this," he said. The reflection moved. The door in the mirror opened. The thing that looked like me stepped out. It smiled at the mirror. Then it looked straight at us. The mirror cracked. A thin black line spread across the glass. The room grew colder. The man raised his flashlight. The light bent around the mirror, as if it was being swallowed. "Stay away from it," he said. But it was too late. A hand pressed against the glass from the inside. Then another. The mirror bulged outward. Something was trying to come through. The voice whispered softly, "You don't leave the house. You replace someone." The mirror shattered. Darkness spilled into the room, and something grabbed my arm. Pain shot through my arm. Something cold and strong had grabbed me. I screamed, but the sound was muffled. The darkness pressed against my chest. I couldn't breathe. The man tried to pull me free, but his hands passed through mine, like I was already half gone. The shadows around us swirled. Figures emerged from every corner. Some were familiar, some were not. All of them reaching, whispering, "Stay, stay, stay." My reflection in the shards of the mirror moved on its own. It smiled. I could feel it inside me. The man shouted, "Fight it. Don't let it take you." But how do you fight a house? A house that is alive, hungry, patient. It pulled me closer to the shards. I could see faces in the broken glass. Faces of those who had stayed before. Frozen, silent. The shadows twisted, dragging me toward the mirror. Then a hand from the darkness slammed onto the floor. The man dropped to his knees. He screamed something. I don't remember what, because the darkness filled my vision. Cold, heavy, hungry. I felt my body being pulled apart, and a voice inside my head whispered, "You are one of us now." The last thing I saw was the man running, and the hallway behind him, stretching endlessly. The house was patient, and it always waited for the next. I woke up, not in my bed, not in the room I had been in. I was lying on the floor. The air was cold. The room was different. Bare walls, no mirror, no furniture, just the sound of my own breathing. Or so I thought. The house had changed. I could feel it. It was bigger now. Rooms I didn't remember. Hallways that twisted impossibly. Doors that led nowhere. And the whispers had returned. Soft, almost gentle, but threatening. "You belong here," they said. I tried to move. My legs felt heavy. Something brushed past my shoulder. Cold, fleshless. A shape emerged in the corner. Thin, twisted, bending at angles no human should bend. It smiled. The voice in my head returned. "Some people leave. Some people stay. You are staying." I screamed, but no sound came. The floor beneath me groaned. The walls leaned closer. I tried the door. Locked. The hallway stretched farther. Shadows moved in the corners. Figures formed in the darkness. All staring. All waiting. The house was no longer just a building. It was alive. Hungry. And I was inside. The whisper returned. Soft but certain. "You cannot escape what you are." I wandered through the hallways, or at least I thought I did. The house was impossible. Rooms twisted, stairs led nowhere, doors opened to walls. The whispers followed me, soft at first, then louder. Names, my name, other names I didn't recognize. I stopped in a room, old wallpaper peeling, a fireplace with ashes, and photographs. On the mantle, black and white photos of people, all staring straight at the camera. I noticed something terrifying. The faces were familiar. Some were mine. Some were the man's. Some were people I had never met. But all of them, they were smiling. Frozen smiles, like they had been forced to. A whisper came from behind me. "You are one of them now." I spun around. The hallway was empty, or so I thought. A shadow moved in the corner of my eye. It stretched unnaturally, thin, tall, impossible. It spoke with a voice like mine, but hollow. "Don't be afraid. You will learn." I wanted to run, but my legs didn't move. The house had me, and the photographs on the mantle, they were not just pictures. They were a warning, a record, and a promise that I would join. The shadow moved closer, its long limbs brushing the walls. It spoke again in that hollow, familiar voice. "Some people fight, some people accept." I tried to back away, but the floor shifted under me, tilting, like the house itself was pushing me. The photographs on the mantle rattled. One fell. The glass shattered. I stepped back, my foot hitting something soft. Another shadow appeared in the corner. This one shorter, thinner, like a child. It tilted its head and whispered my name. I realized then, the house remembered everything. Everyone who had ever lived inside it. Everyone who had tried to leave. It was patient, calculating, hungry. I could feel it watching me from every angle. The hallway stretched behind me, twisting, leading nowhere. I tried the door again, still locked. The whispers grew louder, a chorus of voices now. "You belong here. You are one of us. You cannot leave." The shadows pressed closer. One touched my arm, cold, empty. A voice inside my head spoke louder. "You will learn, or you will stay forever." I realized then, the house was alive, and it had chosen me. I tried to focus. The shadows were closing in. The whispers now formed words I could barely understand. Learn, stay, feed. I stumbled through the hallways. Rooms shifted around me. The ceiling lowered. The floor tilted. I could feel the house breathing, pulling me, pushing me. The photographs on the mantle had multiplied. Hundreds now, all staring, all smiling. I realized the faces weren't just photographs. They were trapped souls. People who had stayed. People who had failed to leave. The shadows moved faster. One brushed my cheek. Cold, empty. A whisper inside my mind screamed, "You will join them." I ran. The man from before appeared in the hallway. His flashlight barely lit the darkness. "I'm here," he shouted. I grabbed his hand. We ran together. The house shifted violently, walls bending, doors stretching farther away. I could hear hundreds of footsteps chasing us, and the voice, calm and patient, whispered, "You can run, but you cannot escape." The man pulled me toward a door I hadn't noticed before. It was small, almost hidden behind a wall. "Maybe this leads outside," he whispered. I nodded, desperate. The walls groaned. The house was aware of us. The shadows twisted, following our every step. We reached the door. It was cold. The handle vibrated under my hand. I turned it slowly. The door opened to a narrow hallway. It looked normal, safe, but the whispers were louder here. Closer. "You cannot leave," they said. I glanced back. The man froze. A shadow was forming in the doorway behind us. It was my reflection, smiling. The hallway stretched impossibly. We ran. The shadows followed. I could hear hundreds of footsteps echoing. The house was alive, hungry. We reached another door. I pulled it open. It led to a staircase going down. Finally, maybe out. The shadows slowed, but the voice whispered one last time. Some leave, some stay. Choose carefully. I swallowed hard and stepped down. The staircase seemed endless. Each step creaked beneath our weight. The man held my hand tighter. "We're almost out," he whispered. But I could feel it watching us. The walls stretched, bending around us. Shadows moved in the corners. Figures appeared briefly, human-shaped, then vanished into the dark. I tried to keep my focus on the bottom of the stairs. A dim light glowed below. Freedom. The house groaned loudly. The temperature dropped. Breath became visible. The shadows pressed closer. One figure stepped onto the staircase. Slow, tall, impossible. Its head twisted at an unnatural angle. It was smiling, and it spoke in my voice. "You're leaving without me?" I froze. The man whispered, "Keep moving. Don't look back." I tried, but the hallway stretched farther. Steps above us echoed, not ours. The house was alive and following. The staircase finally ended in a narrow hallway. A door waited at the end, light spilling under it. I ran, the man right behind me. But the house was not done. A voice whispered from every wall, every floorboard, every shadow. "You cannot escape." Not fully. I reached for the doorknob and froze. I yanked at the doorknob. It didn't budge. The man pushed from behind. Still nothing. The hallway seemed to stretch endlessly. The light under the door flickered, then vanished completely. Shadows crawled along the walls. Figures stepped from every corner. Thin, twisted, silent. One whispered in my ear, "You belong here now." I could feel their cold hands on my back. The man tried to pull me forward, but the shadows were stronger. The house was alive, hungry. I looked down the hallway. The door at the end had grown taller, wider, impossible. The floorboards groaned. The ceiling lowered. I could barely breathe. A whisper came from all directions. Some leave, some stay, some feed the house. I tried to pull away, but my feet felt stuck. The shadows began to swirl around us, above us, behind us. The man shouted, "Break the door. Just break it." I swung my shoulder into it. The wood cracked. A blinding light spilled through the cracks. The shadows hissed. The house groaned. And then the door gave way. We tumbled outside. Cold night air hit our faces. The street was empty, quiet, finally, free, but I could still hear it. The whisper carried on the wind. "We are patient. We always wait." And the house, it still watched. We collapsed on the cold pavement. The night air burned our lungs. The man held me tightly. The house loomed behind us, silent. At first, I thought we had escaped. But then I noticed something. The windows glowed faintly. Faint whispers floated from inside. Names, my name. The man shivered. "They never forget," he said. I realized the house had followed us. Not physically, not yet, but it knew where we were. It watched, patient, hungry. I looked back one last time. The front door slowly creaked open. A shadow appeared, tall, thin, impossible. It tilted its head and smiled. I felt it in my chest, cold, pulling. The man shook me. "Get up, run." We did. The street stretched endlessly, empty, silent. But I could still hear the whispers. The house wasn't done, and I knew one thing for certain. No one leaves completely. We ran without looking back. The street stretched endlessly. The night was silent, too silent. Then I heard it. A soft whisper carried on the wind. "You can never leave." The man grabbed my hand tighter. "I don't care what it is, keep running." We turned a corner. The streetlight flickered, and there it was. The house, or at least a shadow of it. It stretched impossibly, larger than before, windows glowing faintly, doors shifting as if breathing. The shadows moved inside, faces, mine, the man's, hundreds of them staring. The voice spoke again, calm. "Some leave, some stay, some feed the house." I realized then we had escaped physically, but a part of the house followed me, inside my mind, inside my body, and I knew no one ever truly leaves. The house waits. It always waits. And one day, it will call me back. The night swallowed us. The house remained, watching, patient, hungry,